highly controversial management issues, Robben Island is still one of the country's greatest monuments of triumph. The prison, and now museum, was home to political prisoners, including Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and others. This Freedom Day didn't only mark 27 years of democracy, but also 30 years since the last prisoners were released. Monique Mortlock joins me now from the island for more. A very good afternoon to you, Monique. So we were speaking, of course, off air that you had a chat with one of the former prisoners of Robben Island. I mean, when they take you back to 30 years ago and the time that they spent on Robben Island, what do they say?
For them, coming to Robben Island and having these tour groups here, they say, or the person we spoke to earlier, that was Mr. Deden Tsolengwe, there were a couple of moments where it was highly emotional, speaking to him about that day on the 27th of April 1991. He was among the last of those political prisoners who were released, and he described coming back to Robben Island as not a tour but a pilgrimage, because he says when he's part of the tour operators who takes people on tours of the prisons, for him it's almost as if he's returning to Mecca in a way, because now he holds the key that used to lock him up. He now has that power to open prison doors that he used to be behind, and it was really quite awe-inspiring listening to him speaking about the triumph that him and the other former prisoners felt on that day, on the 27th of April 1991, and he could recall it in such precise detail. I even asked him, what was it like reuniting with your family, because he was a young man when he was imprisoned. He was 19 years old. He was set to spend about 25 years in the prison here on Robben Island, but he was released after 7 years along with that last group in 1991. And he said that his grandma, she was the first one that he called once they were safely with the South African Council of Churches. Once he was safe and sound, he called her, and she couldn't believe that he was out. He said that he had to, only when she saw him, because they were taken back to where they'd come from. He was originally from Soweto. Only once his family saw him did the reality sink in that he was free. But I did ask him whether he felt that 27 years into democracy, 30 years since his release, whether he feels that what him and all his other fellow former political prisoners fought for, whether they feel that the freedom that was so hard fought for, whether it has been achieved, that freedom and equality for all. And he said, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. He even mentioned the fact that his children, his eldest children, have been actively participating in those fees must fall protests that call for free education. And he says when he sees something like that still happening, that he realizes just how far we have to go, and especially when you look at the unequal state of the country, how many people are living in opulence and others are living in abject poverty. And this is something he says that is still of deep concern for him and the other prisoners he's still in contact with.
Monique, obviously he's expressed his disappointment, and I would imagine it is disappointment with the way South Africa has progressed 27 years into democracy. But when we really focus it and zone in on the mismanagement of Robben Island, a place that he spent so many years in, and a place that I would imagine he will hold very dear to his heart, given that he was actually released from it, what does he say about that? How does he feel about that?
That wasn't really something that he wanted to delve into too deeply. Instead, what he did was take me on a tour of Robben Island, take me on of the prisons itself, to show me so that I could see for myself what the situation is like on the ground. Of course, the Robben Island Museum, they have been saying over the last few weeks, with all of these media reports coming out about the alleged mismanagement and the state of affairs, they have been saying that those are false. The state of the infrastructure and of the prisons are still in a good condition, and we have seen that today as well. Going around the prison, we saw even Nelson Mandela cell, there have been reports that it's in disrepair, but from what we have seen being here, it seems to be in a good condition. It seems to be well taken care of. Some of the sections where they still want to maintain that authenticity of what the prison cells used to look like, that is still, they're still trying to keep that, so that when tour groups come, they can actually see what it looked like on the inside, the conditions that the prisoners themselves had to face, sleeping on the cold floors, having to look at these tiny, at this tiny space, and being subjected to harsh punishments, which is something that Didi Ntsoelengoe himself experienced for several months when he was imprisoned here. And this is something that he's also made very clear, that he's proud of the work that he's doing here. He's been here since 2003, and he's proud to be able to teach future generations and to hopefully instill that sense of triumph over adversity.
Monique, that is where we'll leave it. Thank you very much. That is our reporter, Monique Mortlock, who is coming to us from Robben Island.